so welcome back to part 2 of this episode. If you've seen any of my previous Street Journals episodes, you'll know that I like to do a second part to the episode where I give some of my more in-depth thoughts about what went well on the shoot, what could be improved, etc, etc. Today I want to focus mainly on the 2 images that I chose as my favourites and just a few thoughts behind the Sigma 85mm lens, or any 85mm lens really when it comes to street photography. So the standard focal range generally for street photography is either going to be a 35mm or a 50mm. That seems to be the sort of legacy set of lenses that you would use, that have just been used by all the great street photographers in the past. I personally found it very interesting using the 85mm lens for street photography. Number 1, it gives you that extra reach, so you don't actually have to be that close to your subject. Number 2, it gives you that compression in the background, and I know it's not technically compression, but it still gives you a different look, as it were, to if you were shooting on a 35. All the lines seem a lot straighter and the background seems a lot closer to your subject. And also you don't really get that distortion in people's faces. Sometimes if you're shooting up close on a 35 or a 24, you can sometimes get weird sort of distortion in people's faces, whereas with a longer focal length, you're not going to get that. So I guess the main purpose of this video is to explain, do I prefer shooting on an 85 or something wider? I only own 2 lenses, which is the lens I'm shooting on now and this lens. And that's because I just think I don't really need anything else. So this is a 24 to 35 lens that I'm filming on now, and this is a 85. So obviously this goes to 35, then I have that big old gap between. But personally I feel like if you're gonna go for a 50, you might as well buy the 85. I always feel like when I'm shooting on a 50mm lens, sometimes I wish I had a little bit of a longer reach. So I don't know, each to their own. I really enjoyed shooting with the 85. On another note, I really love shooting on my own, but I'm absolutely fascinated by watching other photographers and how they work. So for example, in this video, this was sort of the first time that I had actually filmed it with another person photographing, as it were. So moving forward with this series, I think it might be quite interesting to follow other street photographers and turn Street Journals, which is my own passion project, into something else. Turn it into more of a journal into other people's way of shooting and how other photographers tackle different scenarios. So my 2 favourite images from this shoot was the lady in the red trousers, and I really like this image, and I didn't actually have a lot of time to photograph this. I saw her out the corner of my eye, and luckily all of my exposure and my focus was correct, so I managed to get a nice image that I quite like. It's nothing particularly complicated, there's no interesting subframes, but I just really like the colours and I like the composition. And I also like the fact that her foot's got a little bit of motion blur in it, so it makes it look as though she is walking, which is what she was doing. And the second image that I really like is of the older gentleman who I just saw from a distance, and I thought he would have a very interesting face. And as he got closer and closer, I saw like the wrinkles in his forehead and his sort of somber mood, and I thought it would make a very interesting photograph. And I don't know why, I'm just very, very drawn to this photograph in particular, and I think it has an almost timeless feel. And you can really see the effect that the 85mm lens has when you look at the background. All of the really out of focus elements of the picture seem to come alive in a way when you're shooting with something quite long and that has quite a wide aperture as well. So I think I'm going to leave it there for this episode. Thank you so much to Tom for coming along as well and agreeing to be part of this video. You will be talking on camera in the future, Tom, so don't you worry about that. And as usual, I will leave all of my kit links down below. It will take you to a website called Kit, where you can find links to all of my products on Amazon, which is the kit that I use. Every time you make a purchase through those links, then I get a small commission at no extra cost to you, and it really helps the channel out and it really helps me out. So thank you very much in advance to all of you who use those links. It's greatly appreciated on this end. And as usual, please go and check out all the social links in the description. Go and check out Tom's Instagram and Sophia's Instagram. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Street Journals. I'm very excited to get this back on track, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.